We are live.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm going to call the Committee of the Whole Operations meeting to order. If you're able to rise, please join me as I read the invocation for us. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. Let us also not forget those who served our community and who are no longer with us, so we can continue to do the work we must in their memory. Thanks, and be seated, please. Clerk, have you the roll call?
Yes, it's been taken.
Thank you. Anybody have a declaration of pecuniary interest you'd like to declare tonight? Seeing none, we will forge on. Let me ask members of committee if there are items they wish to separate, noting that 614 is already separated as we have delegations appearing before us on that. Seeing no further separation, Councillor Sless, I believe you have the resolution to move to approve.
You are quite correct, Mr. Chair. It's moved by myself and seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Caputo, that all items contained within the consideration and consent 6.1 and 6.2 be not separated for discussion purposes be approved.
Councillor, thank you very much. I'll ask the clerk if she would read the things that we are not talking about tonight, and then we'll go to the vote.
Thank you. All items that are subject to the vote are 6.1.1 automated speed enforcement, 6.1.2 red light camera program update, 6.1.3 engineering services policies update, 6.1.5 the Brantford Airport Board report, and 6.2.1 the minutes. Thank you. And the separation of items carried on a recorded vote of 9-0. All those voting in favor are Councillors Sless, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samwell, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, and Councillor Segoli.
Thank you for that. So we've got two delegations tonight on our agenda. Prior to hearing the delegations, it's my sad duty to remind those of the following rules of decorum that apply with respect to our city's procedural bylaw. No person shall display any sign, banner, or placard in the meeting room other than materials that, in my opinion, are legitimate AV aids necessary to your presentation. Persons present should use polite, respectful language. Don't use any language or the making of any gesture that's disrespectful or offensive. Not that any of you folks would. Speak only on the subject and debate, not on any other subject. No applause, please, for you or for us, and no bad behavior. So first up, Randy, would you like to come forward, please? You've got 10 minutes inclusive of questions. If you could begin by telling us your name and address, please, and then go ahead. Here we go.
I'm Randy Meggs, presently the president of Brantford Minor Baseball. I'm up here to speak. I'm not used to this sort of thing. I wasn't really expecting to come up here and have a laid out forum. However, Brantford Minor Baseball is entering its 75th year this year. Currently, we have approximately 630 players, 70 of which are girls. We're working on a program to bring as many girls into the program as possible. And we're growing, and things are changing. And as many of you may not be aware of, baseball, along with many other sports in this country, they've evolved. Years and years ago, when I was young, you played your sport for your season, that was it. Now we're getting pushed into scenarios where we have parents that want and players that want all year round training. And it's getting very difficult to find any training venues. We've been working with City Soccer, anybody that will work with us to get venues. We've been through, Brantford Minor Baseball has been through 5 venues over the course of the last 16 or so years. Takedown, setup, moving, it's expensive. Our organization is not for profit. I don't have a problem telling you this as well. We have only 2 members in our entire organization that receive a small stipend to look after our books, to look after our umpires. Every other person in our organization is a volunteer. Our books to the councils, if they'd like to see them, wide open anytime, we're very transparent. Building a facility in Brantford at the size that's talked about would be able to encompass many of our minor sports organizations. One of our last places we were in was Access Sports. It was 75,000 square feet, shared amongst several different recreational minor sports places. We had a couple private organizations in there. And it was 24/7. If you needed to be in there, you could be in and out and you could have your training. Now we find that it's very, very difficult to do that because now we're trying to sublet from third parties that they're not even from Brantford, just to get areas to practice. We went through situations where we went to 2 years ago, we had to send our kids all over. We had to send them out into Waterloo, up into Cambridge, over to Hamilton, just to get places for them to train in the wintertime. We try to keep the sport as inexpensive as possible. We are, right now, we are competitive. But we are losing kids. Our kids and parents are taking them to other venues because other cities have training facilities for their, if I overstep what I was supposed to say or not, just let me know. Stop me. Okay. They're taking their kids elsewhere and we're having a tougher time keeping them in Brantford. We still charge a lot less than any other cities do, but they see the fact, hey, they've got a sports facility. They're training all year round. You guys are struggling to find someplace. Prior to this arrangement that we have right now, we had a facility that we had 24/7, 365 days a year, which was the Rope Factory, which is also the Access Sports. And now we're in a facility where we're paying $100,000 for 700 hours, where we used to be at around $60,000 for an entire year. That was us looking after the building. We took care of things. It is very difficult. The city, I believe, also, unfortunately, we don't have a big training facility. Many other cities, I think, do. I want to keep the kids in town. What you guys are doing to go and access, if we can, the federal money, the provincial money, I applaud you because we need something in the city.
Thank you, Randy. We have three potential questioners, 6 minutes to go. Councillor Caputo first, then Councillor Carpenter, then Councillor Slush. Gentlemen, if you could share the time, please.
Gladly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for being here this evening. It's nice to hear the passion in someone's voice when we're looking at sports within a city. You made a comment about our kids leaving for other cities, and that led to my question that I wanted to ask was, how many cities are you aware of that have a population base of 100,000 that currently don't even have a facility like this?
None.
That's what I thought.
Even
So-
Woodstock has a big facility.
Yeah. So you're losing kids and there's certainly a demand for this, I'm sure, with the parents coming to you, right? So I just wanted to get that out there because I think a lot of times we miss that very little thing, that we don't have something like this.
Well said. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Carpenter, you have the floor. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Randy, thanks for coming and more important than that, thanks for what you do as a volunteer for our kids in this community. It's so important. I want to, I'm stretching in here a bit, but thank you for that. I have to do, are you aware, some of the kids go to Burlington to practice in different organizations, but they have to pay extra for that organization, which is sort of a business for that training session. So building a new facility, what the size would work for you that we're talking about here?
What we would be looking to do, as we've been talking, we've talked to the city for a couple of years now, trying to find a venue, like a spot that we could possibly build on with another organization. I believe one was right, the most recent one was in your area.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at 10,000 square feet would be plenty for us, but we're also an organization we're not going to leave. We're looking for 10 years, 12 years, 20 years. We built a building down at Cox Park 35 years ago, which the city wanted nothing to do with, but it was put together by the community of Brantford Minor Baseball. All the counselors back then came in and helped build that place. So we're not looking to go anywhere, but we also want to keep our kids here. And if we have a place that we have the ability to bring trainers in, bring better coaches in, and we have it at our fingertips while it's right here in Brantford, it's gonna make more of our kids want to stay, more of our parents want to keep our kids here.
Yeah, and Randy, just a couple more questions here. The opportunity for it to share with, say, minor football, minor soccer. And would the group be able to get together and actually do the management booking of the facility themselves? The city would manage and maintain it, but organizations like yourself being able to book it and make sure so you work it out together?
So if you had a chance to see what Access Sports was like, Access Sports had 75,000 square feet. The only thing that separated all the sports that were in there were nets.
Yeah.
There was a trust factor. It was looked after by, I think the sports council at the time. But there was somebody there and sharing venues. We offered if they wanted to use our area, because we had our area that was fenced off and yes, it was all feasible, it was all possible. So we went through 3 or 4 years of sharing. Mind you, we still had priority for our certain small spot, but when we weren't using it, we had no issues with other people borrowing it or using it for different things.
And thank you for that, Randy. And I did know that, but I wanted public to know that as well, that that you've been working together from the very beginning. And just for clarity, my grandson plays under 13 for the Red Sox, and he lives and breathes baseball. So thank you for what you're doing. I know it's important. I talk to the coaches, I see the parents. They're all encouraging. So thank you. Thank you.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Slush, you have the floor and you've got all of 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And welcome, Randy. I think we've spoken in the past, probably about this very subject, right? And that was a long time ago and we're finally to where we are today. Have you had the opportunity to read the staff report?
Yes, I have.
Are you in agreement with everything that's contained in there? Are there things that you see that you would like changed?
Right at the preliminary stage, no, I see, what I see there is it's really great and helpful for the minor sports organizations. And I'll be again, as transparent as I possibly can. We've been looking for the last several years to come out of pocket to have something built. This would also help our kids in the fact that if the city was able to get the grants, get this started, get us going, it's not gonna be away from the kids right off the bat. Because now we're not gearing a certain amount of our money towards getting something built 2 or 3 years from now. We're able to actually regenerate our money back into the kids, which we do. And it unties our hands a bit, but we still want to have something that would be, but we're not looking year to year as who's gonna be the next person that looks after this building.
I think the proposal is somewhere between 70 and 100,000 square feet. Will that house, obviously multiple sport, but will it do that comfortably? Are we overbuilding or underbuilding?
No, I don't think you're underbuilding. I think, overbuilding, you're definitely not overbuilding.
Okay.
Because when you put soccer, they're a little bit bigger than we are. Or actually quite a bit bigger than we are, because we can condense from 7 to 10,000 square feet. We're very flexible as long as it's working in areas. When you start to talk soccer and football, you're not running into too many problems, because again, buildings that big, we're not looking for, baseball's not looking for, soccer probably isn't looking for regulated, have to move nets, do this sort of stuff. They're looking for more open spaces, because they will have stuff that they can bring in, minimize the amount of stuff that has to go there, and makes it very flexible.
Counselor, that's time. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Randy. We appreciate everything you're doing in the community. Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation, Randy. Scott, please come up and make your presentation. You will have 10 minutes inclusive of questions. Tell us your name, your address, and then make the red light come on and you're ready to go.
I'm Scott Coleman, and I personally reside at 347B Sheridan Street here in Brantford. So good evening, Mayor Davis, city councilors and city staff. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to thank you all for allowing me a few minutes of your time to speak before you on motion 6.1.4 on the indoor sports facility. I'm the operation manager for Brantford City Soccer and a local youth sports advocate. And I'm excited to be before you tonight to talk about this motion and its tremendous impact on the city of Brantford, Brantford City Soccer Club, all the other local nonprofit youth sports organizations that operate within the municipal boundaries and our city's exceptionally talented athletes. To provide a little background information, Brantford City Soccer Club is a nonprofit youth sports organization founded in 1970 with the aim to promote the development of the game of soccer and its athletes in the community of Brantford. A cornerstone of our operating philosophy is the drive to contain costs and minimize registration fees to ensure sport is affordable and accessible for as many families and individuals in the community as possible. Over the last 54 years, Brantford City Soccer Club has grown from 2 recreational teams for teenage boys to over 160 recreational teams serving both youth and adults of all ages from toddler to senior. Brantford City Soccer Club has also grown from a single competitive team in 2008 to over 30 competitive level soccer teams for youth and adults today, and has grown into the largest sports organization in Brantford, operating annually with over 3,000 registrants. Servicing the ever-growing soccer community are over 200 coaches, nearly 75 match officials, and dozens of volunteer club officials who call Brantford City Soccer Club their home. Everyone at Brantford City Soccer Club, from volunteers to staff, works hard to ensure everyone in the community has a chance to participate actively, year-round, and develop to the best of their ability. However, we've run up against a wall with one major constraint impeding further growth of not only soccer and all of our local athletes, but sport in our local community: the lack of an indoor sports facility. The city of Brantford boasts high-quality, well-maintained artificial and outdoor grass sports fields that service the needs of all of Brantford City soccer clubs and the community's local athletes during the outdoor portion of the calendar year. These facilities are an asset to the community and the sports user groups that use these spaces. However, without the ability to use corresponding appropriate indoor training spaces, local nonprofit sports organizations and our local athletes are heavily disadvantaged. Brantford City Soccer Club and youth sports organizations in Brantford are subject to a talent drain, as some of the highest caliber athletes must look to join teams or programs in communities where appropriate access to infrastructure conducive to sport is available. And unfortunately, in that regard, the city of Brantford currently misses the mark. In communities over the size of 100,000 in Ontario, Brantford is the sole community whose citizens do not have local access to an indoor soccer or multi-sports facility. Additionally, many communities smaller than Brantford have facilities, including Woodstock, Welland, and Sault Ste. Marie, to name a few. As a result of this lack of facility space in Brantford, the Brantford City Soccer Club must look outside the municipality for indoor facility space for our competitive level athletes to train in to minimize the comparative disadvantage of this missing infrastructure locally. However, our efforts to have athletes train in indoor facilities elsewhere are hindered by the lack of availability in many of these other facilities. As an example, Brantford City Soccer Club has sought space at Still Apps facility in Paris for the last 3 years and has been unable to secure any time. We have been informed that county users are given priority over the city of Brantford users, and afterward, there's no consistent booking times available for rental. This has led Brantford City Soccer Club to expand our range, with teams having to travel up to an hour to train in facilities in Woodstock, Hamilton, Cambridge, and beyond. While we secure as many bookings as possible at these indoor facilities, for the most part, the athletes in Brantford do not train on indoor soccer fields and are primarily afforded the opportunity locally to train in gymnasium spaces that are not meant for their sport. This constrains their ability to develop and properly hone their technical skills to their fullest potential. Brantford is a community that is growing quickly. This is a wonderful and very exciting thing. However, as we continue to grow, missing community essentials like indoor sports facilities become increasingly clear to residents. This moment in time is perfect to address this missing facility. By acting now, this amenity will be available to the expanding city. This asset will further aid in the transformational revitalization occurring downtown. And with the introduction of the Bulldogs, Brantford is further becoming known as a sports destination, and this will significantly help towards that end. This motion would put an end to the persistent turnover of venues for Brantford's nonprofit sports groups and create a permanent home for programming for soccer and baseball and other sports to operate indoors year-round. The new facility will directly allow Brantford City Soccer Club's local indoor soccer programming that was occurring at the now-defunct Morton Avenue facility and the now-defunct Access Storage Sports Center to resume. Brantford City Soccer Club's reintroduced soccer programming would allow for 700 additional registrants to enroll in indoor programming annually and would further engage the local community of coaches, match officials, and soccer enthusiasts. Brantford City Soccer Club would be able to reintroduce our offerings of free community events for the underprivileged in our great community, allowing them access to both soccer and sport. This indoor facility would be an overwhelming benefit to the many high-level athletes currently taking part in our competitive programming, as they would have local access to high-quality infrastructure to facilitate their development and to the highest caliber semi-professional and ideally professional level athletes in the region and beyond. An indoor sports facility would also encourage locally residing displaced athletes the ability to return home and train locally and rejoin their local teams, clubs, and our wonderful community. This indoor sports facility will play an integral role in giving the opportunity for the community to become engaged with not only soccer and sport, but also physical activity and healthy lifestyles. This is a motion that, if passed, will make a world of difference to the young kids who dream of being professional athletes. It will reward the youth pouring their energy into sport and staying out of trouble, and will enrich the lives of all of us in Brantford. This is a motion that I and everyone at Brantford City Soccer Club and our community of athletes, coaches, match officials, volunteers, and staff support wholeheartedly and urge you all to vote in favor of. Thank you for your time.
Scott, thank you very much. That was well done. Folks, you can have your seat. Oh, sorry. We do have two questioners. We've got Councillor Slessup and Councillor Sepoli with 3 minutes and 43 seconds. And if you leave some time on the clock, Councillor Carpenter can get in at the end there.
Okay, fine. Thanks for coming and welcome. My question to you is, as it currently stands in the report from staff, we're, and I'll confirm this later with staff, but we're either submitting or have submitted application to, that would allow it to be fully funded. If we get to where, let's say there's two different streams here. If we get accepted in one stream and not in the other, would your group be in a position to help financially construct a building?
We would definitely be able to invest funds into that. I mean, we would have to continue our fundraising, but we have been fundraising this last several years and raising money so that we do have, because the initial understanding of this process when it first kind of came about was that we would be having to pay for a portion of it. So we have been raising funds towards that end. But this also, if passed with the grants, it would allow us to, of course, reinvest that money back into the youth and contribute to their development.
Well, ideally, we're successful and that's certainly the goal and that's what we'd like to do. But just in the event that something went sideways, there's always a fallback with the city participating along with the private groups to make sure that it happens. Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate you coming and we look forward to seeing this in the air.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. Absolutely.
Also, thank you, Councillor Sepoli. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Do you currently offer indoor soccer programming and to what age groups?
We currently offer a gymnasium-based whistle program. So it's currently available for 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds. And it's only allowing about 100 kids because we're only able to secure a certain amount of gym space. Just because of, the way the historical policies work. So there's very little access to large facilities where you can provide that type of programming. But at this time, it's just about 100 and just over 100 kids.
Okay, so the young kids. And do you know where the next closest indoor facility would be besides Paris, I suppose?
That's a great
Would it be
question.
Ancaster?
Redeemer is the next closest. That one's about just over 30 minutes. And then Woodstock's about 35 minutes. So they're both the next two closest facilities. There's one in Cambridge, it's about 40 minutes.
Okay. Did you hear about the fire at Wentworth Arenas last night?
No, I did
Yeah,
not.
that's where I used to play, so.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
no, thank you.
Councillor Carpenter, you have 1 minute and 20. Go ahead,
Wow.
please.
Not too much. Did I hear you say you train officials as well?
Match officials?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Oh, so so some of the kids may not even actually play. They might just want to be official.
Well, we always are looking for match officials, especially females. But we're always looking for referees. So yeah, if any players are just interested in, becoming just match officials and not necessarily playing, that's wonderful. Reach out to us. But if you are interested in playing as well.
So, and then when, as follow up what Councillor Slash said, I'm counting on us getting the funding and I'm counting on everybody that's involved to make sure we send messages off to, we'll give you the information where to send the message off to get support to get the funding.
Absolutely.
We got to do a bit of lobbying. That's okay.
Love to help.
When the building is built though, it'll be an empty building. It'll still need the inside infrastructure. So that's where your group would best put their money is in that infrastructure.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
That's
Thank you
definitely
very much.
the plan
Thank you.
currently as well. Yep.
Councillor, thank you. We're going to be debating this shortly. Have a seat and you're welcome to stick around and see what's probably going to be a good outcome. Councillor Martin, I
Thank you
believe
so much
you
for your
have
time.
the resolution to put 614 on the floor.
I do, thank you. I move, seconded by Councillor Caputo, that item 6.4 be approved.
Debate. Councillor Carpenter, you have the floor. Go ahead, please.
Yes, no, Councillor Celeste and I have been talking about this with Councilor McCurry for a long time, and with the folks that came here. So when we had this major sports liaison committee, we had that discussion that we added to the agenda and our mandate to look at the minor sports, because we can't have the major sports if we don't have a healthy minor sports system. And the council supported that and made that part of our mandate. And that's why we're here, because that came through the staff with the mayor and Councilor McCurry and our staff working to make sure we have an opportunity to build the facility. We call ourselves tournament capital, but we sort of lag quite a bit behind. You heard Woodstock. Woodstock has some tremendous facilities. In fact, my grandson was going there to play ball a lot because the facilities were much better. And some of them are in their country, but they're in the outside of, but they're in Woodstock proper, but a lot of good facilities. We're sort of coming back now with your help and your persistence to actually make ourselves the tournament capital of Ontario, as opposed to just saying it. We're actually going to start providing the facilities. This will be a great start, getting a facility built, and then the minor groups being able to have winter activities, football, soccer, and baseball will go a long ways for our community. And it will show the community that we really care about minor sports. And then we'll move next up, grading our fields and that are necessary as well. And we'll move that forward. So thank you for coming and supporting us. And we'll have a lot of work to do yet. And but we're counting on you for that. Thank you.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Hunt, you have the floor. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Councillor McCurry, and through you to staff. So we've heard from minor soccer, minor baseball. What other sports could utilize this facility?
Through the chairs, basically any sport that needs indoor space can utilize this facility. As part of the resolution today, it does direct staff to engage with a broader range of associations or sport. We did have some preliminary discussions when this originally came to council to direct us to come back. So it's very, very preliminary discussions, but with this, we would really be looking at what the design could hold and how the users would be using, what their needs would be.
Okay, so excellent. And again, thank you to the delegates that did come, but I see lots of opportunity here for our community to utilize the facility. So totally in support of it. Thank you very much.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Samuel, you're next in the queue. Were you going to speak to what's before us, or I'd ask you to hold the amendment because I do have two other speakers that have already put hands up.
So I will hold the amendment then, and I'll speak then. Thank you.
Next up, let me see. Counselor Sokoli, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And a question for staff. I think I read in the report, just going from memory, it was like 70,000 square feet is roughly what we're looking to build. Correct me, feel free to correct me. I'm pulling that from memory, but can you put that into perspective for us? Like how many indoor soccer fields would that look like? Like how many would fit in there?
Sure, through the chair, we're looking at 70 to 100,000 square feet. It just depends on the space available and the amenities that we might need in there. So it's a range. So if we want to put it into perspective and we think about the Southwest tournament size gym with bleachers, seating area for, I think it's 600 people. So about 4 of those, that's 26,000 square feet. So it'd be 4 times the size of that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think this is needed in the community. I personally played indoor soccer for a very long time. I was a longtime coach with the Brantford Soccer Club here, and I had to drive to Ancaster to find a women's league. So there was a whole crew of us. There is a ton of women and young adults that are leaving town to be able to stay active in our older, years. So this is definitely needed. And I did play a bit when there was some indoor stuff here in Brantford. And but I think it's important that we take precautions when we're like we have to build something that's with intention and a purpose built so that we can ensure a safe playing environment, because I really didn't like the facility that was here, because there was just nets kind of hanging, and I play soccer like I'm playing rugby, so I really need those like boards along the side to keep everything contained. Shouldn't be too shocking to anybody sitting up here, but so full support for this, and I really hope that all of the sports associations here will, of course, continue to offer these important programs to children, but if we can expand and help our, older adults and young adults stay active throughout the winter months, I think there's a market here for it, and full support, and I can't wait to see this come to life. Thanks.
Counselor, thank you. And Scott, I hope you'll sign up Coach Sicoli at the end of proceedings tonight. We now have Counselor Caputo. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Doing a great job, by the way. The ad lib is really good. I wish we'd have brought this to council 2 years ago. There are a lot of families in this city that have asked this question as to why we don't have a facility such as this already. Listening to the delegations this evening on how everybody's traveling to Woodstock or Ancaster or Hamilton and all these various places, I think we'd be shocked to know how many people in this city truly want to be entertained. They want to be entertained through sports, through their families, through different things. And we always seem to get our heads wrapped up in other venues other than what some people really, really, truly want. It was not long ago, the Gretzky Center opened up. Prior to that, there wasn't really a sports facility here in the city of Brantford. And now we have an opportunity to get ourselves into the big leagues with the other cities and grow and start to do things that make Brantford the place that people want to be. And when we look at new companies coming in and new people coming to the city and people that we have offering what we're going to do here tonight, which I hope everyone supports because I'm certainly supporting it, is that it gives them something else other than we're going to be living here. And it's truly needed. So I'm really happy. Great job, staff, for putting this together. And I hope that everyone actually sees the value in this and is voting that way tonight.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Sluss, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is one of these projects that reminds you why you want to be on city council. It gives you the opportunity to be in a position to be able to do things like this. And for me, it's gratifying. It's something that I think was said earlier by Councilor Carpenter. We've tried so many times in the past and just can't seem to get off the ground. And we're finally off the ground. So that in and of itself, for me, makes the whole term worthwhile. If we can do this one project, I feel very good that we did what we needed to do as a community. But I do have a few questions for staff. Indy, I believe in the background material, it said that the work to build must be substantially completed by March of 27.
Yeah.
Do you have a window of opportunity to apply? And when does that window close? And have we already applied?
Through the chair. Through the chair, the applications are due in October. So we're actually going to be writing those applications pending today. And the construction has to be completed by 2027. So we haven't submitted anything. We're getting council approved for the location. And then now, if we have the location today, then we'll submit the grants throughout this month. And then we're hoping to hear by the end of this year, early next year, so that we can get started. Did you want to add anything? Okay.
So if I understand you correctly, then we'll be submitting shortly. And we would expect to hear some type of result by the end of this year.
That's correct.
Appreciate that. Are you a betting man?
I really hope we do get these grants.
Okay. All right. I just wondered in talking to your colleagues from other communities, if there probably is a large uptake on this fund. I just thought, I would hope that our odds are very high and maybe we've got some more information here. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Sluss. Gagan Batra, Manager of Business Support and Sustainability through you, Chair McCreary. We have received some news articles here and there from this fund that was available last year as well. And there are a few municipalities surrounding us that did receive this funding for $25 million, $10 million, $20 million. So I'm not a betting person myself, but I am pretty confident. The main thing is that we show that there's a community need for this, which I think from the delegations, they've made it clear. So that's the main piece of that. And if we can show that, we would be pretty good chance of getting the funding.
Well, that sounds encouraging. Please make sure all everything's dotted and crossed and that there's nothing comes back that we kind of fell short on. So we're looking forward to this. We're counting on you. We're looking at you two folks back there to make this successful, and based on history, we should do quite well. So good luck with the application. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Celeste. Councillor Samuel, go ahead and introduce your amendments now, please.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Sluss. It'll be that the following clauses be added, that D, that council approve the vacant green space adjacent to Earl Haig Family Fun Park to be the site of the indoor sports facility, and E, that staff be directed to investigate the enhancement of Earl Haig Family Fun Park, including maximizing green space amenities and community garden space, and report back to council with options. And just to speak to that, if I may. So first I want to commend staff on looking at granting opportunities to be able to fund this very needed project. Both of my sons actually played city soccer as well as Brantford minor baseball previously. So I know that this facility is greatly needed in our community. And I was very happy to see that in the report, it also talks about investing in Earl Haig because that's really important to our community as well. So I was glad to see that. What this amendment is doing is really just taking what's in the report and just making sure that we're approving that today, including and making sure that we're keeping some green space and a spot for some community gardens for the surrounding neighborhood. So I'm hoping that I'll receive everybody's support with that tonight. And thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to call a point of order. I don't think item E, I'd like to see a ruling. I don't think it's germane to what we're talking about.
Now, you may be right, but I'm okay with it. Thanks for that vote. Councillor Samuel, let me ask you a question about D. The wording is the site. So you're specifying just that site. Is that correct?
Yes, it's specifying the site that staff are recommending.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to staff, in the report, does it not say that the community gardens have to be relocated to make room for this possible facility?
Through the chairs, so there was a report to council where we moved potentially replace those gardens at Woodman, and there's a $400,000 capital project that was added to the Woodman Pool project. That garden is going to be completed by the end of this year. And I believe in that report, it said that we would start, once that garden starts to grow, we would decommission this garden. Councillor and I did have a discussion, and basically my understanding of this is that if there is space, whether it's within Earl Haig green space or something very small, we can look at that through the design. But the point of this being is that we're trying to maximize the indoor sport.
Okay, thank you. And with that answer, I agree with Councillor Sepoli. I believe that he is out of order because it goes against what's in the report.
I'd like to challenge the ruling of the chair on that.
Well,
Need second.
could the clerk explain the process?
For the chair to challenge the ruling of the chair, you will need a seconder on that.
I have a
Okay.
seconder and Councillor Martin.
Okay, so Councillor Martin will be the seconder. What we're voting on right now is to sustain the ruling of the chair. A tie or majority sustains the ruling of the chair
Yes, vote. Yes, vote.
with the yes vote, yes. So the ruling of the chair carries on a recorded vote of 7-4. Counselor Sullivan, Slass, McCrary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samwell, Carpenter are voting in favor. Those opposed, Mayor Davis, Sikoli, Caputo, and Counselor Martin.
Thank you, majority committee members, for agreeing with me. I have Mayor
Mr.
Davis.
Chair, I
next
believe
to-
I had the floor when the challenge was initiated. I'd like to finish my speaking opportunity if I may.
Let me ponder that a moment. Go ahead.
Yeah, as, I agreed that, I believe that E is contrary to what's in the motion, and, I think it's gonna be a waste of staff time to try and shoehorn a community garden into that space and still have proper space for this wonderful facility that I think we all.
Counselor, let me interrupt you. Now, the vote was sustained, so you're now not speaking to what's before us with respect to the vote that just transpired. So I just wanted to keep you on track. Thank you.
Speaking to the amendment that is on the floor because the ruling was sustained. If you'd been defeated, then E would be off the table and I wouldn't have the opportunity to speak to it. But since it's on the table,
Yes,
I have every right to speak to it.
you have. And I'm pleased to see that you did admit that the chair was correct. Thank you.
No, I never admitted that. Majority of council agreed with you, but.
You realize
I voted-
I do have control over the microphones.
But as I was trying to say, I believe this amendment will be a waste of staff time. Time that could be better spent designing the amenities inside to accommodate the various sports groups that are looking forward to a wonderful facility there. That, hopefully will have sufficient parking and not be encumbered by a community garden.
Counselor, thank you very much. And I'll remind members of the committee, if they wish to separate this for vote, it's their right. I now have, Mayor Davis.
Yeah, with all due respect, I won't vote for this. Earl Haig Park can't be all things to all people. You've got to be focused on what it is you want to do there. To try and shoehorn this, continue to have gardens in there, which take a lot of space, likely you're going to compromise on parking. You're going to compromise on the indoor sports center, which clearly is the priority, and maintaining the other, the current facility that's there, the water park. I just don't see how you fit it all in. I've seen too many projects where you're trying to accommodate every single interest. The end result is something that's seriously flawed and compromised because staff try to meet everybody's wishes. I think we should be clear that with this motion, the moving forward, Earl Haig Park is the outdoor water park and also what's going to be a large indoor park that's going to need a lot of parking because there'll be a lot of people, a lot of families coming to enjoy the indoor sports park. And frankly, there's lots of space across Veterans Memorial at the River Glen Park to put in gardens there. And we also now have at Woodman, the Garden Center of Brantford. So I really don't understand the need and the purpose of shoehorning some gardens in that will be tucked into some corner when there's lots of space across the road. And we do have a superlative garden facility or going to be at Woodman. So I will not be voting for this.
Mayor, thank you for those comments. Counselor Hunt, you have the floor. Go ahead, please.
So you've already alluded to it. So my request was, can we separate D and E for the vote? And then a question to staff. Would E delay anything related to the report on the indoor sports facility?
Through the chair, sorry, Counselor, what was the last little bit there? Delay anything on the?
Yeah, so the current amendment is that staff be directed to investigate the enhancement of Earl Haig, including maximizing green space, amenities, and community garden space, and report back to council with options. Is that particular part of the amendment going to delay anything related to the report on the indoor sports facility?
Through the chairs, if we're successful in the grants, we're just going to get into design and we have timelines to meet for completion of the project. So we don't have time to really come back and discuss amenities. We'll engage with council on that throughout the design. but we would come back as we would report back, which would be an extra step just to show where this could possibly fit, or we've done our due diligence and it may not fit, right? So this is just to investigate whether we can do this or not, knowing that the primary reason we're building is because we're building an indoor sport.
Okay, and then further to that, what would be a more appropriate report regarding either replacing the community gardens that are at Earl Hague?
Through the chair, so through our discussions, my discussion with the councilor, I did mention that we've already completed that work at Woodman. That was the report, and $400,000 was allocated to build that garden because of I believe there was prior to that, there was a policy and there was going to be a garden placed there and enhanced, and the idea was to shift this garden to Woodman to become a nice center next to a school and all of that, and we actually work with Eco Grounds to create that garden. So it's staff's understanding through the reports that we have that actually has been completed already, and it was to decommission this garden.
Okay, so if Eco Grounds wants to relocate a garden in Ward 5 in an area close to where the existing garden is at Earl Hague, then that's certainly a process that they would be able to make application for.
Through the chair, yes, we have the application process that opens up, and my understanding is Eco Grounds actually wants this location as the best location for them in Ward 5. We did go into this discussion with Eco Grounds when we were moving to Woodman, and we were getting some background information, including Riverview. I believe that's on the other side of the roadway, and that wasn't really great because of sight lines and parking. There is no parking and et cetera. So we've gone down this road, and then our direction from council was to build at Woodman.
Okay, all right, thanks, Indy.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Sluss, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I seconded the resolution or the amendment because it was my understanding, and I don't know staff's interpretation. My interpretation was that staff in the review would be reviewing where to relocate and come back with options on where it could be relocated. That's what I thought the intent was. Am I mistaken?
Through the chair, just for clarity, Councillor Sluss, it's to investigate the possible location of a community garden on that site. So basically, we have a community garden in Earl Hague right now. If we were to build in the package there, you'll see a kind of a square shaded area of where the building is proposed. You can see it cuts through some of that community garden, noting that we will need parking for a facility of that size. So it's to see if that design through landscaping, et cetera, which we would be doing in front of the building anyways, is there a place to put a mini garden or some sort of smaller garden on that site, not to relocate it. Relocate it, like I said, we've already completed that, and that was done at Woodman.
So this resolution wouldn't be directing you then to look at alternatives?
Through the chair, no, it'd be looking at through the design of this indoor facility. When we look at the landscaping piece of it, can we fit a small garden in somewhere?
Appreciate that clarity. Thank you.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Sipley, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. And I think it's already been called for, but I definitely want these two items separated for the votes. Even though council disagrees with my opinion, I do want to speak to this because this to me is way too important to be bogged down with anything else. These are two very different discussions, and I don't like the wording of item E, where it says that we're investigating the enhancement of Earl Hague Family Fun Park, period. Like, that is such a broad item to paint and to mold into what we're talking about here. I just don't agree with the wording of this. I think it's inappropriate. And I think this particular item, as we've all heard and agreed upon, is way too important to be bogged down with anything else. And I think we should focus on what the important thing is here, which is building an indoor sports facility, regardless of community gardens or any other amenities that may be in that area. So I would like this separated, and I'm definitely going to be voting against E in this context. Thank you.
Counselor, you've spoiled the surprise. Counselor Van Tilburg, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I'm actually very confident in staff's ability to manage all clauses that are before us. One of the parts of the clauses that's not being spoke too much about in clause E, and it's something that, yeah, when we're trying to create this community zone, this sports and entertainment zone, you want to draw all members of the community, keep everyone on board. And I think that you also have to make sure that you maintain and keep your facilities, your current facilities, up to par, especially when you're building new facilities. And now what we're going to have are basically kind of winter and mainly winter, but they're all year round facilities. And we're going to have another facility that is very much something outdoors and open. And so when it talks about investigating enhancements to Earl Haig, I have a question. Do we not have batting cages at Earl Haig?
To the chair, yes, we do. And we've
Have they
recently,
been operational?
we've they haven't been operational for a few years, but we do have new machines ready to be installed.
So when we look at enhancements for the family fun park, this is the intent, is to always have something coming from staff and enhancing the area to make it better. Quite frankly, when I consider the fact that my guess, quite frankly, is that without this other thing coming, we might not have been thinking about those batting cages. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I do know this. We heard that they had been left unusable for the last couple of years. So maintaining and maintenance of that area, that Earl Haig area was once the fun park, and I think what was it? That was the go-kart track. I don't mind the vision, the broader vision. In fact, I appreciate the broader vision. I think the community would too. We should come back with that full vision. And if that full vision is saying, we can't do this, we need this for parking, fine, so be it. But I'd rather have staff, it's basically, we had the 4 options that were brought in the resolution itself. The 3 locations were turned down for various different reasons. One might argue whether or not Earl Haig still is the best location, but it appears to be the best of what has been provided to us. And so when I think about this location, I think about what the potential is. I believe that these clauses that Councillor Samuel bringing forward, bringing in the concept that you have to have a green space. There has to be something there for people to breathe and enjoy inside and outside, right? That's part of your whole visual environment. We're right on the riverfront there. So it's part of the experience. It's something that would make us better. And so, I mean, that's where I like what Councillor Samuels brought forward. Bringing forward, approve the vacant green space of Earl Haig, the vacant area. However, we're going to try to enhance the fun park and maximize the amount of green space that's there. There's no point in wasting it, only to use what's necessary. And again, if necessary means parking lot, so be it. If there's a spot, if there's a ledge, if there's somewhere where a community garden doesn't have to be something huge either. It's existing. It could still be a number of things of a different size. That is something staff can bring to us. And that's why I'm supporting the resolution as brought forward. I think it's a good addition to the original resolution.
Councilor, thank you for that. I'll take a minute to comment before I go back to Councillor Samuel. I see the key word is investigate. Investigate the enhancement, including a number of items, including options. And perhaps out of that, there will arise options to, perhaps move some of these activities to a different site. We'll see what comes out of this. But I don't think, first of all, there's absolutely no danger to the process to let staff look at this. I suspect once we look at the footprint of the new building and we look at the footprint of the parking areas left, what's left on that site is going to be a pretty skinny chicken. And I doubt very much that we're going to have much of an opportunity. But I agree with Councillor Samuel and Councillor Van Tilburg that I think this is worth looking at. And I would hope that everybody will support item E in the amendment. Staff will probably dispense with it fairly quickly and we'll find out that we can't do a lot of that stuff. But if we can, why not look at it? Where's the harm? That site has taken on many different faces over the years. When I worked for Parks and Rec years ago, there was a great big swimming pool there. There was was an outdoor arena there at one time. Kenny Edmiston used to play baseball down there, if I recall correctly. So, you know, there's a lot that's happened there and a lot that we're looking at doing with our new indoor sports facility. Maybe there's some ancillary things. And I praise Councillor Samwell for bringing this up. And, you know, if something comes of it, that's great. If not, we've looked. Councillor Carpenter, you know, have the floor.
First time speaker on the amendment. I think the amendment, maybe the word enhance Earl Hague, maybe it should have been maintain Earl Hague. I walked around that facility over the years, especially this last year. And I think there needs to be a lot, needs a lot of upkeep. I saw some large holes around the side of the property. I don't know if they've been filled or not. Maybe they have. This is the last time I walked around there. But the facility itself needs some upgrades. So enhanced, maybe not. I really wasn't in favor of this facility the way it was designed because it was, you know, it's in an area where the residents have less funding than other neighborhoods, and it needed a facility that was good for the neighborhood. It needs a community garden. It doesn't have to be, you know, 10 community gardens. It just needs a community garden for the local residents that use the community garden and share community gardens. So it's an opportunity. So I would have preferred to see staff come back with a report about, you know, when you talk about enhancing Earl Hague, I'm okay with doing that research because I'd like to know what shape it's in. If we're going to build a new facility beside it, I'm okay with that, and it is a great spot. We want to make sure that the facility that we already have there isn't deteriorating. It doesn't need some capital upkeep. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Sullivan, you have the floor. Go ahead, please. Councillor Sullivan, could you speak up a bit?
Can we get a time and place on this?
No.
Okay.
Councillor, anything further?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. I haven't missed any first-time speakers, have I? No, let me see. Second-time speakers. I have two in the queue. Are there any others? Councillor Sikoli, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is why I felt that this item E was not at all germane to this report. And it's because we've spent the last 10 minutes talking about Earl Hague and batting cages and how great it would be to improve that instead of what we are supposed to be talking about, which is building an indoor sports facility for our community. So I just wanted to point that out, that when you add Earl Hague here, it completely hijacks the conversation and takes it in a direction where it need not go this evening. And it need not go at council when we go to ratify this. And I think Earl Hague is such an important piece in our community and it needs to be looked at, and there certainly is room for enhancements and improvements. And I think that is an item that should be looked at as a standalone piece and not necessarily just kind of slid in here like haphazardly without much thought this evening. And so I just want to be clear. It's not that I don't think the enhancements are important there. It's that I think it's inappropriately discussed on the fly tonight. And it takes away from the good that we're trying to do here and what we're trying to do with building an indoor sports facility, which is what we should be talking about instead of the batting cages at Earl Hague. So still going to vote against this. And I would encourage the mover of this amendment to maybe put a resolution together that brings something like this similar to this to council for us to look at in a very wholesome way instead of just sliding it in here tonight. Thank you.
Councillor, thank you very much for that. And Councillor Samwell. Sorry, I'm going to go to the mayor first and you can finish up, Councillor Samwell. Go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I heard correctly. Someone saying, I don't think staff will be able to shoehorn this in, but you still want them to do it and frankly, waste the time doing it. And I'm very concerned that there's very tight timelines on these grant applications. And the resolution to have an indoor sports facility is dependent on having grant money. And this jeopardizes that. This puts that in jeopardy when you have staff preparing and spending additional time trying to create a report that's going to satisfy everybody and address all political concerns. The end result, I fear, is we lose the grant application for these indoor sports arenas. I agree with Councilor Sicoli. We should have a laser vision in this resolution on the indoor sports facility. Keep it tight, keep it clean, so that we create the greatest possible opportunity for the grant to be processed in a timely manner and accepted. I've seen it happen again and again when higher levels of government see some confusion about what's being contemplated and they see it as being a bit of a patch job. Guess what? You don't get it. And it goes to other communities that have a clear vision of what they're trying to accomplish with the grant application. So I will definitely vote against this amendment.
Thank you for that clarity, Mayor. Before I go to Councilor Samuel, let me ask a redirect question of staff. Would exploring item E be something that you would be doing before you submit the grant application for the sports building?
To the chair, no, we need to submit that application as soon as possible.
So then let me paraphrase what was said before. So you have laser clarity that you're just applying for the sports building, and all this other stuff is something that would come later.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you for that clarity. Councilor Samuel, you have.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So I've heard a lot of terms tonight, like shoehorning it in, a facility that can't be all things to all people, or whatever the statement was earlier. I wanted to really kind of take a look at this in a different light. For one, it wasn't just slid in. It talks about investing in Earl Haig in the report. Two, it should be all things to all people as best as we can if it's going to be a city facility. A community garden that takes up a little piece of grass is not going to hurt anybody. And it's just like saying, well, you know, we're going to have this great sports facility there, but don't put in a little free library out front of it because people don't want to read while they're waiting. This is important to look at what it could be for everyone. And I don't think that this is taking anything away from that. So I'm hoping that everybody would consider supporting this tonight and at least letting staff look at it. Thank you.
Let us go to the vote on the amendments. We'll be voting on two of them. Item E first. No, sorry. D comes before E. We'll vote on item D first and then item E.
Can we see it on the screen, please?
Yes, we're voting on the first of the amendments, which is before you. The council approved the vacant green space adjacent to be the site for the indoor sport facility. So we're just voting on the location on this amendment.
Thank you. Clause D of the amendment carried on a recorded vote of 10-1. All those voting in favor are Councilors Sullivan, Slass, McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samwell, Carpenter, Caputo, Sicoli, Mayor Davis. Those opposed, Councilor Martin. So through the chair, we are now voting on clause E. It's shared on the screen. Okay. Okay, clause E lost on a recorded vote of 4-6. All those voting in favor are Councilor McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samwell. Those opposed, Councilor Celeste, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Secoli, Mayor Davis, and noting that Counselor Sullivan was absent for the time of the vote.
Thank you very much for that. So we are now on to discussion on the original resolution as amended to name the Earl Hague neighboring site as the location for the new indoor sport facility. So is there further discussion on the item as we have amended it? Counselor Carpenter, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The staff, River Green Park, was it looked at? I mean, it looks like a larger site, but was River Green Park looked at or? I'll wait till the end.
Through the chairs, so we have major infrastructure that crosses the Grand River through that site. So it really wasn't a site that we could build. It is bigger, it could have a bigger facility, but I think it could have secondary use, for example, fields or something else that,
Or overflow parking?
or overflow, or we could look at that site, we're just keeping it there. But there's major infrastructure that comes through their major trunk.
We could put ground facilities, ground sports facilities there too as well that could complement the indoor facilities.
Through the chair, that's the discussion we've had with the sports associations as well. If there's any accessory fields that you need in the back, it's a short walk around but we also have to remember that we're doing the VMP EA
Yeah.
to widen that. So I'm not sure what the spacing of that. So I'd like to keep it open is what I mentioned to the sports associations right now.
Sure.
And then see what comes out of that EA and then we can kind
Thank
of
you
go
for
from
that.
there.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Counselor, thank you very much for that. Further discussion, folks. I will just add something then. This reminds me an awful lot of that vote where we decided to apply for the government funding for the Gretzky Center many years ago. And that began a process that provided something pretty doggone good for this community and for sportsmen here in this community. And we're going to be doing what we did for hockey and lacrosse and water sports here for field sports indoors over the winter time. It's something nice we're embarking on. And I can't speak highly enough about the advocacy from Counselor Carpenter and Counselor Celeste and from our old friend Counselor Kings, who sat in the premises over there many years ago, who've been the three folks in my history of council that have been the advocates for minor sports and minor sport facility development in the city. So guys, thanks very much for that. Thanks for coming tonight to delegate and make sure that we were properly informed of your needs. I'll call again for further discussion. And seeing none, we'll go to the vote.
Item 6.1.4 carried unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. All those voting in favor are Councilor Sullivan, Celeste, McCurry, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samwell, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Secoli, and Mayor Davis.
Thank you for that. We've done good work here tonight. We are adjourned.